Cyril Couchman Ramaphosa, Mr. Phala, the dollars of the sofa. I know you know the story. I've said it before. You've watched my previous episodes, but I just want to walk you through what happened this weekend specifically, because the developments are moving quite fast and the details matter enormously in order to understand exactly how this man is fighting to stay in that presidential chair. On the 18th of June, last Thursday, around there, the 31-member impeachment committee met. They actually met this time, and they did something genuinely significant. They voted overwhelmingly to formally oppose Ramaphosa's urgent interdict application. Not to ignore it, not to file a polite explanatory affidavit, to actively, formally, constitutionally oppose the President of the Republic of South Africa's attempt to do what? To freeze the process of constitutional court, the one they ordered. What I'm talking about is Ramaphosa was basically doing everything in his power to make sure this impeachment committee didn't commence so that he doesn't feel forced to resign, because he doesn't want to sit down and be asked a bunch of questions about where that couch money comes from and why he had it in the first place, right? He doesn't want to tell you what happened to the couch money. If he's so innocent and he has nothing to hide, why is he hiring the best lawyers in South Africa to hide all of this and to freeze the whole constitutional court's ruling? The president is going against his own constitutional court. I mean, come on, Summer Sambit family. I'm sure you know that rings a few bells in your head. Even if you are a die-hard Ramaphosa supporter, I know that rings bells in your head. The highest court in the land is being opposed by your president because your president doesn't want them to investigate him, as innocent as he says he is, because he thinks he has business telling it to stop. And this is where it gets constitutionally fascinating, my people, because the legal argument, the committee's own advocate, William Mokhe SC, raised in that Thursday meeting, is one of the most interesting jurisdictional points in recent South African legal history. Mokare told the committee plainly that the High Court is, in his assessment, in no position to halt a constitutional court order. Think about what that means in practice. Ramaphosa went to the Western Cape High Court, by the way, in case you didn't know. Western Cape High Court, a division of the High Court, to get an interdict stopping a committee that was established by a constitutional court order. And the committee's own legal opinion is essentially saying, with respect, Ramaphosa, you went to the wrong court. A high court cannot override the constitutional court, the court above it. The hierarchy of our judicial system does not allow for it. In South Africa, it's the constitutional court and then all the other courts. If the constitutional court said Parliament must run this impeachment process, a high court judge in Cape Town cannot issue a piece of paper saying, actually, no, pause it first. They have no power to do that. That is not how the pyramid of judicial authority works in South Africa. You want to know how I know? Our government made it that way, so they have no one to blame. So this is going to be one of the central legal battlegrounds when the interdict application is actually heard on the 15th and 16th of July. 15th and 16th of July. So less than a month from now. And then on top of all this, something happened on Sunday that tells you a lot about where the institutional loyalties in this fight actually sit. Speaker of the National Assembly, Thoko Didiza, filed what is called a notice to abide, accompanied by an explanatory affidavit in Ramaphosa's court application. Now, a notice to abide is a specific legal document. It essentially says this party will not actively fight in the case, but will accept whatever the court decides. It sounds neutral. It's not entirely neutral. Why do I say this? Because Thoko Didiza's affidavit is going to assist the court in understanding the National Assembly's constitutional obligations around this exact process. She is essentially walking into that courtroom and laying out, in sworn written form, by the way, why Parliament believes it is obligated to continue the impeachment process, regardless of what Ramaphosa's lawyers argue. They could be the best in South Africa, it still needs to continue. She's not opposing him with fire and brimstone, but she is also definitely not helping him, and rightfully so. And given that Didiza is an ANC member, it makes it twice as funny, because that's the same party as Cyril Ramaphosa, the same political party that voted in 2022 to kill this whole exact process. The fact that she is now filing an affidavit which supports the committee's continuation rather than our very own precedent's pause tells you something very significant about where the institutional pressure in this fight is heading. More and more people are turning on Ramaphosa, and I know he can see it. Parliament's own legal representatives have recommended the impeachment committee oppose the court application, with advocate Moke SC stressing that opposing the interdict is not biased, but a constitutional necessity. And if you want to see more of that, you can check out Euronews when they talk about this case in South Africa.
South Africa's police watchdog has implicated President Cyril Ramaphosa in a cross-border operation to recover $580,000 in cash stolen from a sofa at his game farm and cover up the theft. According to a declassified report by the country's police watchdog, he bypassed official police channels after the cash was taken in a break-in at his farm. A probe into the break-in at Ramaphosa's property in 2020 found that the president instructed his security chief to travel to neighboring Namibia shortly after one of the suspects were arrested there. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate completed its findings into the scandal that became known as Farmgate in October 2023, but they remained secret until last week when Freedom of Information laws forced their publication. The disclosed report has revived a scandal that had threatened to cost Ramaphosa his job after he was accused of tax evasion, money laundering and breaching foreign currency laws. The report says investigators used state resources and bypassed official police channels to investigate the president's private business. The watchdog found that officers kidnapped, interrogated and bribed suspects to buy their silence. Our correspondent Calden has sent us a report on this story. Listen in.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says an explosive independent police investigative directorate report alleging a cover-up linked to the robbery at his Phala farm has nothing to do with him, adding that the matter is being handled by the appropriate institutions. The report, declassified last week, relates to the theft of about $580,000 from the Limpopo farm in 2020. It follows IPID's recommendation that two senior police officers, including a senior member of Ramaphosa's protection unit, face disciplinary action over their alleged role in the cover-up. The disclosure has revived a scandal that once threatened Ramaphosa's presidency amid allegations of tax evasion, money laundering, and breaches of foreign exchange laws. This is Calden from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION World is One.